Hi, and welcome to the Talkative Mom Show. This show is all about parenting, family, and how to be the best version of you. We'll be sharing information and resources that are going to help you thrive on this parenting journey. I'm Eno Craigrin, your host, and this is the Talkative Mom Show. Hi, and welcome back to Talkative Mom Show. We are at the beautiful Float Wellness Spa. This is a mommy wellness spa where you leave all your issues at the door, come in, de-stress, and get pampered. My lovely outfit is by Evic Store. Evic Store is located at East Legon, and you can also check out their pieces on Instagram at Evic Store. My lovely earring is by Oba Bridal Style. Now today, we have Mrs. Rosalind Trenati, and we'll be discussing dyslexia, all about dyslexia. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So can you just introduce yourself? What exactly do you do?
So professionally, I'm a hospitality and education consultant.
Okay.
However, I run a non-profit organization called Africa Dyslexia Organization,
Right.
championing awareness and advocacy on dyslexia and other learning difficulties.
Okay, great. Now, dyslexia, this is something that very little is known here in Ghana. And I just want to know a little bit about yourself. Let's take you back. How did you know that you were dyslexic?
I got to know that I'm dyslexic when I was over 30, so
Wow.
30 years. Basically, I'm someone that started reading and writing around the age of 17.
Okay.
And so that means I went through school all the while and I wasn't really performing, so I was a low performer in school, whereby you're repeating classes or you are the last person on the score sheet all the time. But at that time, nobody knew about dyslexia.
Yes.
My dad is actually an educationist and he didn't know.
So just to educate everyone, what exactly is dyslexia?
So dyslexia is a learning difficulty.
Okay.
We have disabilities, and when it comes to Ghana, we know about the physical disabilities. So somebody is blind, somebody is a cerebral palsy. You know those ones, but people don't know that we have learning difficulties, and even that we have so many of them: dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia. There are quite a number of them. And we have students who suffer with any of them. However, dyslexia is the most common. So you take a class of about 25 and you're likely to have 5 of them who are suffering from dyslexia. And it basically has to do with reading and writing.
Right. So you were talking about, growing up, what it was like for you living with dyslexia.
Yes. So growing up, you go to school and they teach you all right, and you don't get it, especially when it comes to reading and writing. And so I will sit in class and, we do dictations a lot in Ghana, and I will always receive the canes, and you take your report home, and then your parents are also like, it looks like you're good for nothing. Because why can't you get this? Why is it that people are getting it and you are not getting it? And you yourself, you feel so sad inside you because then you feel like you're dumb. You're lazy. And actually, these are the words people are labeling you with. So for me, it got to a time where I actually accepted that, yes, I'm dumb. I'm lazy, I'm good for nothing and all that. And where it really triggered to me as a teenager was during the BEC time. I was going to a preparatory school, and they called my parents to say that unfortunately we cannot register Rosalind as part of our candidates to sit for the BEC.
What was the reason?
Because you're going to taint their result.
Wow.
With your low performer. And so and I was getting out of age because I was almost about turning 18 in JHS.
Because they had repeated you, so many times. Wow.
So they advised if they can't continue with the repetition, then we should rather go to, let's say, a village and have me register with a school. And so that's what we did. They actually registered me with a school that, imagine you writing a BCE. How much more when you change school and you're a newcomer, how do you feel? And you're going to write a BCE And this time you have to be mingled with people you've never met in your life and sit in an exam with them. You go to school and you're not wearing this brown and it's a yellow uniform, but then all of a sudden, because of exams and you are not performing, you have to go.
So you were in a private school?
I was at a private school. Leave all your friends who maybe you can turn and smile at and sit in a class with people who probably will question who is this person who have come. And so it really damaged me. That particular season of my life damaged me a lot, but I didn't even know that I was being damaged. And so the results came, and yes, it's true, I had grade 31. And so if this is a school that is performing in the 10 ones and the 8 ones and all that, so if they had actually added me, I was going to that means it ain't there.
So let's take it. So from there, you went to secondary school, isn't it?
No, I did not. I've never been to a secondary school. What happened was I met somebody who is actually a friend of mine from my previous school that I had attended, and we became close. So sometimes they will come to the house, I'll cook for them, or I'll prepare food and just go out. And I realized I'm very good with food and cooking. Nobody taught me how to do pie, but I could do pie at that time and share with my friends. And so he was the one, and he was just a year older than me. And he was like, you know what? Everybody is suggesting you should go and learn a trade and all that. It's not like today that when they tell you go and do fashion, it's like, oh, that's the thing I'm going to do. When they tell you go and do fashion or hairstyle, and you're like, it's like you are casted out. So that was the suggestions from my parent. But he said, no, I think you should go to a culinary school. And I was like, culinary school, how?
What is that? Did you even know what that was?
He explained it. Yes, he explained it in basic terms, like catering school, where you learn how to cook and all that. And one day you can probably become a chef or open your own restaurant. And I was like, I love food. I like to cook, develop recipes. I will do this. So I took his advice and went to my dad that I want to enroll in a culinary school. And you know, in Ghana, culinary school is expensive because they do practicals every week. You have to buy
the ingredients,
the utensils and all that. And I took it, and my dad was like, we're going to so we're going to spend money on you again and all that. I said, give me one more chance. Give me, and if this does not work, then we will see the way forward. So he listened and took me to the school. And I vividly remember when he took me to the school and called the proprietress and said, this is my daughter. I don't have any expectations of her, but just accommodate her in this school for me. The proprietor said, okay. So already in the school, I was labeled. The moment
you walked in,
I walked in, because it's either I'm a stubborn girl, and yes, I was, because of the experiences that I was going through. I had to be tough and defend myself. And so I will go out when you tell me I shouldn't go out, those kind of things. And that's what happened. But you know, whatever happened in life is good. That setting was actually the turnaround for me, and it was the school that I actually started picking up how to read and write. Why did that work for me? Because dyslexics have different ways of learning. My way of learning may not be the same to you if you're dyslexic, but I work more in pictures. I work more in practicals. So using my hand to do, seeing a picture and asking me to develop the same thing, that works for me. So the catering school gave me that. Because I have to do the practicals. Whilst back in the other days, is the teacher standing in front of you and just telling you banana. But where is the banana? I can't see banana. But here,
you could see it.
I can see it. I can feel it. I can eat it. So it made sense to me. And that's where my brain started.
What did the proprietress tell your dad? Was there any reports given?
I remember during the end of that very term when my dad was coming for me, he was called to the office, and the woman asked him, is it the same daughter of yours? that you said you didn't have expectation of? I said, yes. So look at her result. My dad looked at it and said, are you mistaken?
How is this even possible?
How is this possible?
Wow.
And they said, no, it's actually her work. She's very good. And I think this place is good for her. And it was like for so many years, this is like the first time somebody has said something positive to me. And so I held on that word. And I said, I'm going to run with it.
Okay.
So when I went home, I made up my mind that, listen, I think I'm capable of everything. Okay. So when I come back to school, I'm going to involve in extracurricular activities. I took on roles to be a peer educator, just to start boosting my confidence level. I didn't even know what confidence was, but just to get myself. And I was in the school as either first or second, the least maybe a third, till I completed and then started work.
Okay, so let's fast forward to finding out that you were dyslexic. What was that? What did you go in to have a test done? What was that?
I gave a talk somewhere about, so I started talking about me not reading early and all that, just to encourage people in life. And I had a friend, Farida, who was once listening to me and said, Rosalind, I think you are dyslexic. And I was like, excuse me, what's that? He said, oh, dyslexia. I mean, the name alone. And I said, you know, I respect her a lot. So I said, oh, okay, I will look into that. And I left and I just threw, I said, dyslexia. Me, the way I've suffered in my life.
I'm not about to get something else, another tag.
No. So I forgot about it and then went on my life. But then I was doing my master's in Switzerland, and I came across one of my professors who also asked me if I'm dyslexic, because we were going through my work, and said, are you dyslexic? And I said, wait a minute.
Not this word again.
Not this word again. So I started to research about it, and I was ticking all the boxes. And I was like, so this is it. All my life being labeled, and even though I've been successful in my career and everything, I always struggled, because till date, there are words I would see I won't be able to pronounce. There are words, a very small word I can't spell when I'm really busy writing.
Like you know the word, you just can't spell it.
I know the word, I can't spell it, or I will see it and I can't pronounce, and I'm like, especially names of people. I'm like, what is this and all that. So even as an adult, I was still like, so I never overcame this. So getting to know about dyslexia, then I went for professional assessment.
Okay.
And I remember the person who did assessment was like, wow, I don't know how you made it to this level. Yes, because I have really serious one.
Wow.
And so that's how I came in contact and finding out really what the issue.
Okay. Now we'll be wrapping up your segment. Do you have any final words for any parents, especially who has a child who is dyslexic, or a child who is dyslexic? Do you have any final words?
Right. So in Ghana here, we have to also be careful. I'm very careful because I'm working as a professional to think, because somebody may be watching and be listening and be like, oh, my child is not performing, so the child is dyslexic. No. Until you have had a professional assessment done to confirm, you can't say that my child. So your child may be dyslexic. And if it is so, the first point of contact is have assessment done. Okay. You can go to places like Kolebu, you can go to Rich Hospital, and there are people there who can have assessment for you. Okay. We have assessment center here in Ghana. Okay. Unfortunately, it's been there for years, but the place is not conducive. If you put a child there, if you put me there to do assessments, you're going to stress me out. Okay. And so I'm hoping that if our leaders are going to chance on your show, that property needs to be renovated, put together very well, so that it can be conducive for people, because you need a relaxing environment to do assessment. Have the assessment done. When you have the assessment done, take the results, go to the schools and present it to them. Unfortunately, our schools, most of them don't know about learning difficulties.
Yes, they don't. That's a whole different topic.
That's a whole different topic. So you may get a push, but if you do, call me. I will come.
So how can we reach you?
They can reach me on our website, which is www.africadyslexia.org. And all information is there, and they can contact me. I can connect them to an assessor. I can connect them to someone who can actually give them private tutoring so that they can get better.
Right.
In the moments when nobody knows how to even support a child with learning difficulty, just show love. Don't tell them they are lazy.
Show love.
Don't tell them they are good for nothing, because every child is a star.
Right. Thank you so much, Rosalind. This was so informative.